I think everyone is watching my screen now, and again, welcome everyone. Today I'm going to talk about how mindfulness can help you to deal with stress and at your everyday dentistry practice. I'm going to present you this powerful tool that is mindfulness, and I'm going to talk about how you can use it in a practical way in your dentistry practice. And I'll be sharing simple techniques and something that you can really start applying immediately in your work. I started the Mindful Dentistry program in 2018. And when I do this webinars, and this is also an opportunity for us dentists, colleagues to come together and establish a peer supportive community, to become less isolated and talk through the challenges of practice, the emotions also that come with it, and to be able to also to exchange some ideas with fellow practitioners, because I don't know about you, but I didn't learn about stress management in the university, and this is still not as discussed as it should be. And in my personal experience, one of the benefits of group courses and of webinars is that participants can connect with other dentists, with other dental professionals on a very human level, and that can bring some that can alleviate the isolation that sometimes comes with this job. And sometimes the isolation in dentistry also contributes to stress. And building a supportive system of colleagues that experience and share the same issues helps to alleviate that feeling of isolation. So again, feel free to leave comments or questions in the group chat anytime during my presentation. If I don't answer immediately, we are going to have time to answer all the questions and doubts in the end. So let's start. We have a lot to talk about today. Nowadays we live and work in this very fast pace with all kinds of external stimulation. And of course, to add to that already stressful life, we have an incredibly stressful job. So dentistry is a profession that creates many triggers and often has us spending most of our day in a fight-flight mode. Dentistry has been identified as a highly stressful profession in many studies. And this that you see here are some of those studies. It's interesting because you can find a lot of studies about talking about how dentistry is a stressful profession, but then you don't find that much about how you can deal with that stress. So the last study, the one from Moore from 2011, occupational stress among dentists, is actually a revision of literature about this subject. And this one was the one that I based the next things that I'm going to talk about. So some of the conclusions of this revision of literature is that 70% of dentists identify their professional identify dentistry as more stressful than other professions. And the first thing I want to ask you is if you agree with this. Do you see your profession, you see dentistry as more stressful than other professions? You can answer in the group chat if you agree or not, if you see dentistry as being a high stressful profession. I don't know if I can see the answers. Yeah, yes, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. I think we all agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Laura also. Yeah, yeah, I think we all agree that dentistry is a very stressful profession. So the same study, wait, identified the 5 biggest stressors in dentistry. And according to this study, the five biggest stressors are falling behind schedule, striving for technical perfection, causing pain or anxiety in patients, canceled or late appointments. Time management is a big one in dentistry, and the lack of cooperation from patients. I would like you also again to answer. Do you relate with some of these stressors? And also, if does anyone want to add another stressor to this list? Because I have a lot more. Does anyone want to share some big stressor in their practice? I don't know if I can see. Because I have a lot more. Time management, stress coming from patients. Yeah, anxious patients, definitely. So I've been collecting the stressors from dentists. Patient expectations. Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah. So I have, yeah, managing patients' expectations, managing your own expectations also, right? The fear of failure and complaints, dealing with constant demands of compassion. You're like, you feel there's an obligation for you to feel compassion for all your patients. And I think patients expect that also, for you to be able to feel compassion for them. There's a financial pressure also, time pressure, isolation, like I already talked about. I have some more. Referral patients, I really relate with all 5. Yeah, failing to succeed without seeing the cause. Yeah, feeling guilty. True. Guilt is a big one also. Concerns about the future also, especially in these times that we are in. Sometimes when patients don't go for the right treatment, for the treatment that you think it's the right one, that also brings stress. Lack of time to speak with the team. That's another one. That's yeah. The stress that comes from the work environment, sometimes communication with the team also, sometimes not having the right assistance when you work, bringing the problems home. Sometimes the patients don't have the greatest opinion about dentists, and when they enter the clinic, they already say, oh, I really don't like dentists. So too heavy workload. So this dentistry is actually have all of these stressors, and some of these can be acute, but some of these can be chronic. So you have some of these stressors every day. You have to deal with some of these stressors every day in your dentistry practice. And what does this causes? All of these stresses that we just talked about, what do all of this causes? So I'm having difficulties on changing the, sorry, it's just because I'm having difficulties on changing the, okay, I managed to do it, sorry. So all of the stressors that we just talked about, according to the study from Moore, 80% of the dentists suffer from some degree of stress reaction. And this is significantly more than when they compared with the groups of other physicians or business executives. So yes, the question in the beginning, if dentistry is a more stressful profession than other professions, the answer is yes. Because all of this stresses causes this some kind of suffering, and this some kind of consequences, and these are physical consequences, these are personal consequences, and these are emotional consequences also. And let's see which consequences are these. So again, this is according to the study of Moore, and the first one is the effects of stress on the physical health. And according to the study, the three major physical health effects of stress in dentists are muscle and skeletal disorders, cardiovascular diseases, and neurotic symptoms. And all of these usually result in one of two things, or in both. First is job unsatisfaction, and in the premature retirement of the dentist. And actually, there is a study that says that the main reason for the premature retirement among dentists is stress and anxiety. And there is another study from Finland that surveyed 230 dentists, and more than half reported to feel exhausted in the end of each day. So the second is burnout. So it's the effect of stress on personal and on the professional performance. So when stress is felt in such a negative and extreme way, with the feelings of little or no control at all, and with the continuous contact with patients and with staff, it can lead to burnout. And professional burnout is a long-term consequence of stress, and of course causes work incapacity. The third one is addictions, so alcohol and substance abuse. And here it's important to say that the symptoms of depression and burnout are usually related to misuse of alcohol or other substances. Addictions are maladaptive coping strategies, and alcohol is actually the winning one among dentists. Dentists that report to have effective strategies to deal with stress, of course, experience fewer health problems. The fourth is suicide at the extreme of burnout or depression is a suicidal behavior. And dentists have been recognized as a group with a high incidence of suicide. And the last one is something called labeling effect. And this is an emotional consequence. This has to do with dentists developing this lack of sensibility for anxious patients. So it's like at a certain point, it's all the same. So it's just another patient, and emotionally there is a lack of perception from the dentist. And this lack of perception is related with the type of anxiety. So this is described that dentists cannot differentiate from general anxiety. So it's if a person is anxious with everything in life, or if there is just an anxiety related to dentistry and to the procedure itself. And dentists assume that everything is dentistry anxiety and anxiety for the procedure. And they tend to avoid certain treatments or avoid certain patients, or to over treatment with general anesthesia or sedation. So basically, what this means that dentists start to label patients, and they assume a certain behavior and expect a certain behavior from patients. And this leads to stereotypes, judgments, and also can lead, of course, to frustration, both from the clinical and from the patient. We looked at the stress, at the stressor triggers. We looked at the consequences of stress. What are the coping strategies then to deal with all this stress and to be able to avoid these consequences that all the stress can cause? And I would like to make you a question: how do you deal with this stress? And I would like you to think about this question and to carry this question through the webinar, and to bring some awareness and on the way that how are you dealing with all these stressors that you find every day at your dentistry practice. And I have someone saying here something, right? Sometimes I cannot. Having hobbies, yeah. True. We're going to talk about that, and having to be able to develop some activities outside from work where you can bring that connection really helps. Separate work time from leisure time. Yeah. Not bringing dentistry home. Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you my story. So sorry again, not being able to change. Okay, I did it. So this, some of you already know me. For the ones that don't know me, I graduated from dentistry in 2001. Actually, the first picture is from the last year of the university in 2001. I'm 23 years old there in that picture. The other one is I think in 2013, maybe. So already with more than 10 years of practice. And the one that I'm seated is, I think, from 2016. And the other one is from last year. So This is me in several phases of my life. I'm going to celebrate 20 years of dentistry next year. And I practiced as a general dentist until the end of 2018. And I started my mindfulness practice as a way to deal with stress. And when I started my mindfulness practice was for me to be able to disconnect. Exactly what was said in the group chat just now, for me to be, because I realized that I took my anxiety, I took my all the stress, all things home. So sometimes I notice myself when having shower to thinking about work and about what I had to do the next day, or about what happened during the day. I used to wake up at night thinking about reviewing the protocol of certain treatments that I had to do the next day. So I started a mindfulness practice to be able to deal with that. And at a certain moment, I realized I could apply it in my dentistry practice. And when I started doing that, I became aware that I also spend most of my day overthinking hundreds of thoughts and worrying about everything that could go wrong in my treatments. I felt that I was never a good enough professional. Everyone was better than me. And the result was that I spent most of my days in automatic pilot, sometimes just reacting to whatever was happening, feeling that I was not really in control. What I came to discover when I started applying mindfulness also in my everyday dentistry practice, when I started to practice to be really present and aware, was that there is in fact another way to be in our busy clinical everyday life, a way where there is room for enjoyment and reconnecting with why you choose this profession in the first place. And I discovered that through mindfulness. So let's talk about mindfulness. And mindfulness, and this is the official definition of mindfulness that you can find everywhere. This is by John Kabat-Zinn, which is the father of the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. And mindfulness has three key elements. So it has attention, intention, so on purpose, it's an intentional practice, and present moment. So for dentists, I always add compassion. So in short, mindfulness translates into this quality of being present and aware during our daily dentistry practice. So when I talk about mindfulness and dentistry, when I talk about mindful dentistry, or when I talk about being a mindful dentist, I talk about presence and I talk about awareness. I talk about a conscious presence. So mindfulness is the simple act of paying attention, noticing, and being present in what you are doing. It's all about awareness, the development of awareness in the present moment. And you practice being mindful by being fully engaged with the present moment, by being fully present, body and mind. And when you are being actively mindful, you are noticing and paying attention to your thoughts, to your emotions, to your feelings, to your body sensations, to your movements, and to your behaviors. And that's how you engage with the present moment. And this seems like a simple and easy practice, but sometimes it's not. Our attention, it's being constantly hacked, and we usually get distracted. Sometimes we don't even realize that the fact that our minds wander from the actual activity that we are participating in. And our minds wander to other thoughts, to other sensations. And by practicing mindfulness, we are actively involved in the activity with all our senses instead of allowing our mind to wander. Because this mind wandering is what leads us to the autopilot mode. And the autopilot mode, what happens is that it creates this disconnection. So you are here, you are seated here, but your mind is somewhere else, in another place. And this also leads to unhappiness. There's actually a study from Harvard that proved that 46% of people spend their time while walking, eating, shopping, watching TV, thinking about something other than what they are doing. And the conclusion was that a human mind is a wandering mind, and the wandering mind is an unhappy mind. So we are actually more happy if we are present in what we are doing instead of our mind being somewhere else. So this kind of mindless behavior, it's very common, and usually our mind is lost in the virtual reality of thoughts, and our brain is running in autopilot. And this is where mindfulness makes a difference. Mindfulness is a skill, and it can be learned, and it can be developed, and in a practical way allows us to approach our clinical or personal challenges with more inner calm, with more control, and taking this decisive actions from a place of clarity and from a place of presence to what actually is happening, instead from a place of reactivity, instead from a place of wishing the situation was different. And of course, this will lead to more enjoyment and more calm, not only in your work, but also in your life. So a practical example of this is, for example, when you are doing a procedure that you already done like a million times, when you are doing an endo treatment, or when you are doing a filling. So you already have done this procedure many, many, many times. And sometimes you're like, yeah, so why not space out, right? So I've done this lots of times, and you are not even aware that you're going to space out, that your mind is going to be somewhere else. It just happens because you already know what you're doing, already did it a lot of times. So that's what your mind is used to do. So the habit of being lost in thoughts can also mean that you are missing out the parts of your work that make a difference, right? So the joy of being creative, also an opportunity to solve a problem in a different way. The subtle part of communication, you know, the little signs that the patient gives, a look of gratitude, and who knows what else you might be missing. So when you practice mindfulness, when you use mindfulness as a cornerstone for your work at your everyday dentistry practice, you recognize when the autopilot takes over, and you are able to disengage from it. You learn to disengage from it and to bring your attention back and to ground yourself and to work from that place of calm and clarity. So what does this has to do with stress reduction? So let's look a little bit of the science behind mindfulness. And this is a study that done in Harvard, and what they found is that mindfulness changes the brain structure. So what happens, and these are the results after an 8 weeks mindfulness course. So MRI scans show that the amygdala shrinks, and the amygdala is the primal region of the brain and is associated with fear, and is the first one to be activated, the first one to be involved in the body's in our body response to stress. So the amygdala shrinks, but the prefrontal cortex becomes thicker, and the functional connectivity between these regions also changes. So the connection between the amygdala and the rest of the brain gets weaker because she's not activated like it used to be, while the connection between the areas associated with attention and concentration gets stronger. So this changes also the way we react to everything. So we start to respond. We start to bring a more accurate response instead of bringing an automatic reaction. And this enables us to rely more on our executive functions rather than our impulses, and we feel more in control. So let's relate this to dentistry. So it's not only, we have a highly stressful job, plus in today's society, we have all the stressors piling up. So traffic jams, deadlines, money issues. It's a lot of things, and they stay. So it's not like the old days when we were being chased by bears. That's okay at a certain point, or we were eaten by the bear, or the bear left. No, here all of the stressors stay with us and they repeat day after day. As the result of this, the sympathetic system often remains engaged long after it should have. And the soothing influence of the parasympathetic nervous system starts to not be enough. So the results can be damaged in many ways. So when our body repeatedly experiences the stress response is never, and the stress response is never fully switched off, our body stress response can be described as maladaptive or unhealthy. So in this, when this starts to happen, that means that the stress response is going to kick in more frequently and than normal, increasing the burden, and sometimes it's more than our body can handle. So maladaptive stress responses can lead to health problems, as we saw. So a prime example of this is high blood pressure or hypertension, which is a major factor, of course, of coronary disease. And another is the suppression of the immune system, insomnias, also gastric problems. And what studies shows is that the programs like the mindfulness-based stress reduction reduce our body stress response by bringing the relaxation response by activating the parasympathetic system and lowering the stress hormones like cortisol. So what the mindfulness practice do is to teach us to self-activate a different response to stress, rather than staying in a state of high anxiety, fear, of high blood pressure. Mindfulness trains us to apply a formal or informal response to stress. And so there have been many studies that that have proved and shown that the benefits of a mindfulness practice includes stress reduction, decreases anxiety and depression, reduce worries, less emotional reactivity, so it gives us the emotional intelligence to be less reactive, and improves overall well-being. So the dental professional, the dentist who develops self-awareness through a mindfulness practice is better prepared to engage in activities to better manage stress. And this self-awareness, which is developed through a mindfulness practice, also increases compassion and of course leads to less chance of emotional burnout. And this, it's what we're going to explore in the next part of the webinar. I'm going to present you some practical examples and techniques, something that you can maybe start applying and notice for yourself the benefits. And what I like about mindfulness is that it can take all the research that proves its efficiency and offers us a simple, modern, practical tool that can be applied at our daily busy dentistry practice. So if we work in stress, we disconnect from our body. We don't have access to our inner wisdom. We just react to whatever comes in our way, and we all have this inner wisdom. We all know what the best treatment for our patient is, and yet sometimes we work against this inner wisdom because we are completely disconnected and working in autopilot. So before I continue, I think there was a comment here. Let me see. Sometimes the best answer is the lack of answer. Okay, so let's continue. No. Having difficulties again and okay, good. So dentistry creates many triggers, as we saw, as you know, and experience every day. We often spend most of our day in a flight-fight mode with a chronic state of the sympathetic nervous system being over-activated. So if we bring this intention, this conscious intention and attention to the parasympathetic nervous system, we can balance and we can actually complete the stress cycle. So how can we do this in a practical way in our everyday dentistry practice? So imagine this situation. So when a procedure is not going according to plan, okay, and you start to be late and things get complicated and you start to have all these thoughts and you start to struggle. And how can mindfulness help here on this situation? How do you use mindfulness here to deal with this stressful situation? So the first step is not action, but awareness. So when we find ourselves in a situation where a procedure is not going according to plan, we start to struggle, right? So normally reacting because we are trying to solve the situation, right? So what happens is that when we work in stress, we disconnect from our body and we are just inside of our heads trying to solve the problem. And this is perceived as a threat. And our vision narrows, our critical thinking narrows, and our creativity disappears. And that's why sometimes instead of solving it, we even make the situation worse because we are trying to solve it in a way that doesn't work, not paying attention to the big picture. So the first step like I already told you, is not action, but awareness. So awareness of what's going on. And we actually need to pause for a few seconds. We need to recognize the situation. We need to recognize our body tension. We need to look up, take one long, deep breath, and we need to ground ourselves into our body, again, releasing muscle tension. And this allows us to return to presence. This allows us to continue to work from a place of presence instead from a place of a mindless reaction. And as we do this, there's a natural releasing that opens, and not just our body, but also our mind, our critical thinking, our creativity, our ability to collaborate, our ability to solve problems. So this relaxation happens in a natural way if we direct a gentle awareness to the areas of tension in our body. And if we just pause for a few seconds to take a deep breath in. So learning to release our tension through this conscious relaxation is an important skill that brings our fully intelligence and creativity again in the game. So, and this of course can be learned like any skill. And this of course is just bringing the parasympathetic wing of the autonomous nervous system in the game also. So let's take this a little bit further. So after this procedure that didn't go according to plan, you are late, right? You are running late. You already have patients waiting. So, and you have to deal with other anxious patients after that. And your assistant comes in and say that that important work that was scheduled for tomorrow, the lab cannot, it's not ready. The lab is not going to happen. So you have to reschedule, and then you have to fill a space in your agenda for tomorrow. So dentistry, yeah, it has a lot of triggers. It has lots of stress. So, and when usually I present this situation, sometimes I have the reaction, yeah, that's a normal day for me. I have all of that. You are describing my normal day in my practice. So what happens is that if you are not aware of it, it's just not that situation that the procedure didn't go according to plan and that you started to feel stressed. You will spend your day in a fight-flight mode, tense. And if we spend our days in this state of overstimulation, there will be a constant flow of cortisol on our bloodstream. And we will start to feel the physical stress symptoms. Okay? So high blood pressure, heart disease, muscle pain, insomnia, the overthinking, the rumination. And because people handle stress in a very different ways, it might be, you might have several ways of coping with it. And sometimes it can appear maladaptive coping behaviors, right? Compensations, anger, emotional burnout. So stress symptoms, like we already saw, can be affecting your health, and you might even not be realizing it. And it's not only your health, it's also your thoughts, it's also your feelings, your behaviors. So to be able to recognize the stress triggers can help you, of course, to manage them. And to be able to bring relaxation, to balance the stress physiological response is very, very important. And this can be done in two levels. So the first level, it's the first situation. It's when you are in the situation, right? It's when you can pause for a few seconds and bringing the response instead of the reaction, and that response will be more accurate. And the second level is comes in another way, comes in developing good coping behaviors. So hobbies, like it was suggested here, not bringing the problems home, to exercise, learn to play an instrument, walks in nature, a meditation practice. So develop good adaptive coping behaviors that will help you to bring balance and activate in a natural way, again, the parasympathetic wing of the autonomous nervous system, and this will activating the smoothing system, the calming system, and this will give you the energy that you need to then face all of this during your day. And this brings me to meditation. And mindfulness meditation is mental training. So meditation is where we train the muscles, where we train the muscles of presence, where we train the muscles of awareness, where we focus, of concentration. And I usually say that meditation is the ultimate reset, because I mean, I can have a million things going on, trying to run a business in the middle of a pandemic, going through huge life transition, or I mean, there's no shortage of things for us to be stressed about, and it's like there's always this many windows open in our brains, and sometimes there's a lack of energy. So you can and even if there's all of this, there's always a reason for not to meditate. So you can always find that you have more that you have paperwork to do, or emails to answer, grocery shops to do. There's always a reason to not to meditate. And yet, if you do it, if you take the time to do this reset, to invest in yourself, to invest your time, you end up getting the return of that investment. And you actually have more time in your day, and you end up feeling better, and your sleep is more productive, and you feel fresher because you close all the windows in your brain. So it's literally not just a mental reset, it's actually over the time a physiological reset, because in the meditation we create the neurochemistry, right, to get rid of the stress chemistry, of the adrenaline, of the cortisol, and you start to produce in a natural way oxytocin and serotonin, which are the bliss hormones, and you start to feel better. And you start to feel better when you do it, so during the practice, which is nice, but the point is not to just feel better during the practice, because for just to feel better for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you can do like a bubble bath and you feel better. But the thing about meditation is that that chemistry that is produced, it stays with you through the rest of your day. So you'd start to feel better, not just during practice, but during your day. It gives you actually energy. And over time, if you keep a consistent practice of meditation, it can become a reset for your whole body, because it changes the brain physiology, increasing neuroplasticity. So it's not just like a bubble bath for your brain. It's actually changing the structure of your cells. So if you meditate, you get rid of the fight-flight mode, and you get rid of the stress chemistry in the brain. And meditation is also a skill It has a technique, and of course it can be learned, and meditation puts us in advantage. It gives us an advantages. So when we start to understand that meditation is not like just taking a bubble bath, it's not a luxury, we realize that it's actually mental training, and it actually gives us energy. And I want to make something very clear. Okay, meditation has its place and it's important, and it's the mental training where you grow focus and concentration, and awareness, compassion also. But don't underestimate the power of practicing mindfulness during your working day. So actually both things are a complement. So what I'm going to give you, it's 5 strategies, 5 everyday mindful strategies that you can use to deal with stress. And these are very simple things. So the first thing, watch your thoughts. So when our body holds, when our muscles are tense, it usually has to do when we are having this thoughts of less good outcomes. So, and when tension increases, stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol are secreted. So practicing mindfulness and self-awareness of thoughts allows us to interrupt the sequence before it gets a strong hold of us. So the second, practicing self-compassion. So learning how to rewire the self-critical brain is crucial in dentistry. Dentists usually have a loud inner critic. We are usually our worst critics. And we are sometimes not aware of it, but our judgments can affect every part of our work, our productivity, our creativity. So this feeling of sometimes imperfection, it's a very common experience among dentists. For most of us, habits of self-judgment are quite persistent. So if we calm our inner critic, we can rewire our brain for a deeper understanding, better performance, and of course, different connections. And we can do this by starting by bringing recognitions to the patterns of worrying and self-criticism. So it all comes down to the first strategy, to watch your thoughts. Really watch the way that you talk to yourself. And if you start bringing recognition to these patterns of worrying and self-criticism that often generate more stress, you can learn to relate to yourself from a place of more acceptance, from a place of more kindness. And you still have your critical thinking. That's nothing to do with that. But what will happen is that you balance your inner critic. You will transform it in your inner guide, and you start to trust it. Because sometimes we, again, I already mentioned this, sometimes we work against our intuition because we don't trust this inner guide that we have, because we have this very loud self-critic. And sometimes we work against our intuition, not only because of that, it's also because patient's pressure, or because time, or because money. But when we do that, this usually leads to frustration, not only for us, for the patient also. So with mindfulness, we learn to recognize and listen to that inner wisdom, and to trust it, to follow it, and to not work against it. So the third one, and I already talked about this, is to complete the stress cycle. And I usually say this, where did we as dentists forgot to complete the stress cycle? Because I mean, we learn this. We have the autonomous nervous system when there's a threat or something that our brain interprets as a threat, so a stress trigger. Immediately the sympathetic nervous system is activated, and then there's the effect of the parasympathetic to calm things down when the danger is gone. So in the old days, going back to the example of the bear, or we were eaten by the bear, or we could escape, right? And when we could escape, we do like this, right? So we relax our muscles. Our breath calms down, our blood pressure also, right? The thing is that nowadays we don't complete the stress cycle because there's an overstimulation of the sympathetic. So we don't give this chance of, right? So how do we increase the calming response that we need to complete the stress cycles? Two ways. The first way can be done with our breath. So our breath is like a remote control. So there's a very simple technique. So you can inhale and fill your lungs with air, really open up your chest, then hold your breath for a second, and then a long exhale, bringing in relaxation. So, and you can do this for 40 seconds, 1 minute, so 5, 6 deep breaths, and you immediately activate the parasympathetic. Also, another way is relaxation. So again, bringing this conscious relaxing to the muscles, shoulders down, your jaw, your belly, your eyebrows, the space between your eyebrows, your forehead. So relaxing directly engages and activated the parasympathetic circuit, and also, of course, sends a message to the alarm centers in the brain that you are not in danger, okay? You're not in a threat, so you can relax. Because sometimes even when we end our workday, we go home, not even then we allow ourselves to bring this relaxation. So please remind us, and don't forget to complete the stress cycle in an intentional way, in a physical way. So another strategy, don't multitask. And this is one that I think it's easy to understand. I personally don't believe in multitasking. I think it's just really, we're just switching our attention back and forth, and it's not good for our brain. So perform one activity at a time, from the beginning through the middle and to the end before beginning another. Truly engage with how you are spending your energy. And the last one is to pay attention. So mindfulness is the art of paying attention. So not only paying attention to what in front of us, to what is in front of us and what we are doing, but also to our thoughts, to our emotions, to our body sensations, to our breath. And this helps to listen in an active way. This helps to observe carefully, and this helps to make better decisions. In dentistry, there's a lot of information that we process, that we try to process at the same time, and we have to. And this is not all visual. There's audio cues also. There's the way that the motor feels in your hand. There's that perception, you know, that when you see that the hand of the patient clench, and there's a cue there, maybe they are starting to be in pain, and that you need to do something. So if you are talking to someone else, or if you are not fully there, or if you turn your head and because there's your assistant comes saying that the lab called, for example, you are not going to really be able to pick up on this subtle little cues that might not mean anything, but that will make a huge difference for the patient. And also they will make a huge difference in your work. So my personal conviction is that all the dentists, of course, have the technical capacities, have the technical skills. We learn them and we develop them, and we reach for perfection. So we all have them. So, but I think that the ones that invest in developing the capacities that that can bring all this other skills to the surface can make a difference and can be an advantage. And I made this, and I'm sorry, it's not very nice, but the technical skills, and there are many more, and there are so many, and it's the visible part, right? And even if you are a specialist or if you are a general dentist, it's a lot going on here. And then there's this other part that it's not really at sight, but that you need. So skills like self-awareness, creativity, perspective, compassion, active listening, emotional intelligence, that it's so important to be able not to be reactive, you know, to be able to work from this place of calm instead from a place of emotional reactivity. All this can be developed and reinforced with the regular mindfulness practice. Okay? And after this, I thought about, and I usually present a chart with some of the results I've been having on the past 2 years working with colleagues with my mindfulness based stress reduction course. But yesterday I received an email from a participant in one of my last 8 weeks course that finished recently, and I decided to share it here with you tonight. And actually she wrote in the end, feel free to share it if you liked, for example, for your webinar tomorrow or other. And she shared a couple of cases that she used mindfulness and that made all the difference. And I decided to share this one because I think you all can relate with this kind of patient that she describes here. So it's someone that's a patient from her for more than 10 years. And she described it as one of the most challenging patients she has, always in complaining, always questioning what I do or what I did before, and also very scared. And she says, today was the best experience I had with her. And the best part is I still have plenty of energy after work. Every time she comes, I used to feel exhausted afterwards. It feels so good to not take in all the negative energy and stress from others. It is almost like magic. So it works. Mindfulness really reduces stress in your busy everyday dentistry practice. And you don't have to trust me. Try it for yourself. Give yourself the chance of feeling the benefits. And to finish, of course, I want to thank you for listening to me, but I would like you to invite you to a short guided meditation. And this meditation is about getting perspective around stress. First, by changing how we experience stress in our bodies, and then by seeing if we can connect it to a larger perspective. And sorry, I'm just going to... So what I'm going to ask you is to just sit in a comfortable position. Try to keep your back straight. If you want, you can close your eyes. Otherwise, just let them open. And we start by taking a few deep breaths. So inhale deep. Feel your chest with air. And a long exhale. Deep inhale, stretching up the inhale. And exhale. And really softening, really relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the belly. Another deep, nice, long inhale. And on the exhale, relaxing and softening. Okay, and now let your breath go back to normal, to its normal flow, its normal rhythm. And this first part of the practice is about exploring how we experience stress in our body. So notice where you are experiencing stress right now. How do you know your stress? What are the signs in your body? How is stress coming up for you right now? I invite you to do a little survey. And now let's try to reframe the way that we experience this. So we call it stress, but really that's just a word, it's just an idea. Before any idea of stress, there's just sensations. The question is, can you begin to experience what you call stress? But it's really simply different sensations happening and flowing. Sensations connected to other sensations, all of them slowly changing. So see if you can experience yourself as this constant flowing of sensations. And obviously our problems are real, but we also have the capacity to put them in perspective, to see them as a part of this larger story. And bringing in some relaxation. Relax your belly, your shoulders, your jaw, your eyebrows. Just being in your body. And taking one last deep breath in and a long breath out. And opening your eyes if they were closed and noticing how you feel now versus when you began. I hope you enjoyed this meditation, and I'm going to stop here to share. And I would like now to
what a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And the meditation,
thank you.
the meditation at the end was the cherry on top. I'm relaxed myself.
I thought it was a lot of information, so it was just nice to end up like to relax again, because it's a lot of information to give.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But I thought you did very well breaking into the steps and ending with the meditation. So this was very good. And before we go on to some questions, I just wanted to come online and thank you for being with us. I know it's the end of a difficult year for everyone, and it's the holidays this week, and there's mixed emotions from everyone. But I choose to end with a positive energy, with a strong finish to 2020, and with an open heart for 2021. Yes, please, if you guys have any questions, please share here with Manuela. And while you are maybe composing your thoughts, Manuela would like, or Manuela and Network would like to offer you guys the opportunity to further your knowledge with mindful dentistry. Manuela has a very interesting, extensive 8 weeks program. It's a course, and it starts in January, and so for the network members, for all of you guys who are here, you are welcome to benefit from a discount. So and you will be receiving this information via email. It's a 10% discount, and you can contact Manuela directly, or you can contact Network, and we'll guide you in the right direction. Correct, Manuela? Do you have anything?
Yes. It's an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course. I'm a certified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher. the thing about this course is that it's totally adapted to dentistry due to my almost 20 years of experience, 18 years of clinical experience. I was able to adapt this whole program, which is a certified program, totally adapted to dentistry. So the next edition is going to start in January. You can find all the information in the website, mindfuldentistrytraining.com. But I usually have editions during the year, and then we're going to receive all the information by email, and everyone is welcome. It's like I said, I can be talking about this for hours and hours, but you have to try it to be able to feel the benefits, and you start feeling the benefits very, very early on, and it works. It actually works. But I would love to answer if you have any questions, if anyone have any questions.
For the people, you know, I this is maybe for some people this is a new topic, this is something new. What are the expectations for the dentist? When do they start seeing results? Like when this actually, you know, speaking in more tangible terms?
Mm-hmm. Well, they start seeing the results almost immediately from the first week, because with the practical exercises. So of course there's a meditation practice, very short guided meditations, but then there's also the practical part, and they start immediately to bring awareness to their day. So the benefits, they start to feel it immediate. But then during the 8 weeks, we work on a lot of things, not only awareness, but also the triggers. You identify exactly your triggers on your day. You identify exactly your reactions. You start to understand the pause that you need to be able to respond. So you start to see the change. You start to notice that you have actually the choice of choosing the right response. We have a session that it's only about communication, you know, active listening, assertive communication. So in the end, of course, all of these things together bring a major transformation. But from the beginning, you start feeling the benefits, because you start bringing awareness to your day, and you start to immediately calm and slow down, and you immediately feel the benefits of that.
That's wonderful. That sounds very very promising. And do you think that everyone is able to learn how to meditate? Because it is difficult.
It is difficult, yeah.
It's difficult. It's not just something that you can say.
Usually meditation is the biggest challenge, and that's why
it's hard to quiet your mind,
yeah.
even for 1 minute. And I sometimes I wonder, I wish I would be a little fly to see if everybody present here really did the 5 minutes quiet mind, but it's totally normal.
No, yeah, it's totally normal, and that's and at the beginning, that's just the practice. You know, it's just getting distracted, noticing that you are getting distracted, and go back to the breath, or go back to your body sensations. But actually, meditation has to be taught. You know, sometimes I think that people think that it's just an easy thing, or with an app or something. No, it actually has technique, so it has to be taught. And the mindfulness meditation is actually very, very, very straightforward. It's like I told you, it's mental training. It's not, sometimes people, it's just like to go to be in this mental state of Zen or something. It's not that. It's mental training. And the meditations are actually short. So it's like 10 minutes, 12 minutes of your day. And for the, because there are persons that meditation is not for them. They don't like to sit still and listening to something, you know, their body is restless, is always moving. So there's options for that. You can meditate while walking, you know, you can actually practice an active meditation through movement. So we work all of those techniques so that you find what is appropriate for you, what works for you, you know. So, but basically, meditation teaches you to redirect your attention and to actually be able to identify when you are lost in thoughts and to come back to the present moment. So yes, everyone can do it, but it has to be taught, and they have to be able to see what works for them, because what works for me might not work for you. And there are people that cannot sit still for 10 minutes. It's not for them. So okay, you can walk, you can have a different kind of meditation. Meditation is not just being seated in lotus position, you know, that's not modern meditation. Mm-hmm. So this all is the modern practical approach.
Very good. Thank you. Well, then I guess with that we conclude for tonight. Because yeah, everybody's kind of wrapping up and
it's late.
Their vacation mode. So Manuela, again, thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you so much.
With pleasure. The pleasure was mine, and I hope everybody enjoyed the home. And I'm sure we will meet again here very soon.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.